Good evening. Today I'm going to talk about an issue that is not only important but increasingly urgent in our society: animal testing. For decades, animals have been used in scientific experiments, from medical research to cosmetic testing. But as our understanding of science, ethics, and technology advances, the question must be asked: is animal testing really necessary? Or is it time to find a more humane alternative? In this presentation, I will argue that animal testing should be abolished. We will explore three main points. Number one, the cruelty involved in animal testing. Number two, the availability of alternative methods that are more humane and scientifically effective. Number three, the scientific flaws of animal testing and how these lead to unreliable results. Let's begin with the ethical argument. The ethical argument is animal testing involves subjecting animals, often mice, rabbits, and monkeys, to painful procedures like injections, surgeries, exposure to toxic chemicals, and prolonged confinement. These animals experience significant physical and psychological suffering. In many cases, they are subjected to invasive experiments without anesthesia, causing severe distress, injury, and ultimately death. One of the most compelling ethical arguments against animal testing comes from a philosopher named Peter Singer, who argues that animals are like humans. They are capable of suffering. He believes that any sentient being that can experience pain should not be treated merely as a tool for human benefit. This idea is grounded in the principle of equal consideration of interest. Just as humans have a right to be free from unnecessary suffering, so should animals. An ethical dilemma is a moral dilemma. Is it ethical to cause harm to animals who can experience pain? All for the sake of scientific progress. As a society, we would never accept such cruelty toward humans, so why should animals be treated any differently? The availability of alternatives. Thankfully, the issue of animal testing is not one we are powerless to solve. Today, there are more human alternatives to animal testing that are not only ethical, but often more effective. Take in vitro testing, for example. This method involves using human cells and tissues to study diseases, test drug reactions, and assesses toxicity. It allows scientists to conduct meaningful experiments without causing harm to animals. In fact, in vitro methods often provide more accurate results because they are based on human biology rather than animal physiology. Another promising alternative is organ-on-a-chip technology, which replicates the function of human organs on a microchip. For example, lung-on-a-chip and liver-on-a-chip models can mimic how our organs respond to drugs, diseases, and toxins. This technology has already shown great promise in drug testing and could one day replace many animal testing procedures. Here is a real-world example. The European Union has already taken a bold step by banning animal testing for cosmetics. This is proof that we can still make scientific progress without using animals in experiments. Many companies now adopting 3D cell cultures and computer simulations to test the safety of cosmetics and other chemicals. These alternatives are not just more ethical, they're more reliable because they're based on human biology, not animal models. The scientific flaws of animal testing and scientific issues with animal testing. Now, let's talk about the scientific limitations of animal testing. Despite millions of animals used in experiments each year, many of the results do not translate to human health. This is because animals are biologically different from humans in several key ways, such as metabolic rates, immune responses, and neurological systems. For example, consider the thalidomide tragedy of 1950s and 60s. Thalidomide, a drug that was shown to be safe in animal tests, caused severe birth defects. When it was later given to humans, similarly, the Vox, a painkiller that passed animal trials, was withdrawn from the market after it was found to cause serious heart problems in humans. These examples highlight critical point animal models are often unreliable in predicting human outcomes. This leads to wasted resources, unnecessary harm to animals, and even potential risks to human health. Failure of animal models. It's estimated that over 90% of drug candidates that show promise in animal studies fail in human clinical trials. So, even though animal testing has been a cornerstone of medical research for centuries, it's clear that it is not the most effective or reliable method for predicting human responses. Moving toward a more humane future. This is a moral imperative. Given the ethical issues, the scientific flaws, and availability of more effective alternatives, the case of abandoning animal testing becomes even stronger. As philosopher Tom Reagan points out, animals have intrinsic value. They not only just tools to be used by humans, this means we have an ethical responsibility to treat them with respect and dignity. As a society, we have made scientific strides in addressing other forms of cruelty, like slavery and child labor. The time has come for us to take the same moral stance on animal testing. If we have the technology to conduct research without harming animals, we have a moral obligation to do so. This is the future of science. It's not about continuing outdated practices, it's about innovation and compassion. By embracing alternatives like organ on a chip and vitro testing, we can achieve scientific breakthroughs while ensuring that animals no longer have to suffer for our progress. In conclusion, animal testing should be abolished. The cruelty inflicted on animals, combined with growing availability of more reliable and human alternatives, makes it clear that we no longer need to rely on animal testing. We have the technology and moral imperative to move forward with methods that are both scientifically and sound and ethically responsible. Let's embrace a future where scientific progress does not come at the cost of animal suffering. Thank you.